Tennis world stunned by Alex Eala moment as Katie Boulter bounces back after torrid run. Katie Boulter endured a tough start to the 2026 season after an early exit at the Australian Open. Alex Eala has left the crowd absolutely stunned after saving match point to reach the Abu Dhabi quarterfinal in front of a raucous crowd. This comes as Katie Boulter returned to winning ways and reached her first quarterfinal since mid-last year. Eala garnered plenty of attention during her Australian Open first-round exit, with the arena full of her compatriots cheering her on. And the fanfare around the 20-year-old continues after the Filipino rallied back to defeat Alexandra Sasnovich 2-6, 6-4, 7-6. Eala was 5-2 down in the third set and faced match point, but managed to fight her way out of the game. She then took it to a tiebreak, where she emerged victorious as her Filipino fans erupted. She will now play Ekaterina Alexandrova in the quarterfinal. The young Filipino now has a huge decision to make on whether she withdraws from her doubles match, which is scheduled not long after her singles quarterfinal round. Regardless, the rising tennis star will be hoping she can draw on the energy on another electric atmosphere as her fanbase continues to grow. Eala's fans showed up en masse at the Australian Open, which created a phenomenal atmosphere. And Abu Dhabi organizers will be hoping this continues as she prepares for one of the biggest matches of her career. Fans are enjoying the energy Eala creates at matches with a Davis Cup-style atmosphere drawing in supporters. Her raucous fans cause drama at the Australian Open, prompting a debate around fan etiquette. But few would argue the crowd she is bringing in aren't good for the sport. Meanwhile, Boulter has found some form after her disappointing Australian Open exit. Katie Boulter reaches quarterfinal. Boulter struggled for form for the most part of 2025 as she dropped down the rankings. However, she appears to have found form again, having reached her first quarterfinal since Nottingham in 2025. Boulter defeated Swiss star Viktorija Golubic 6-2, 6-2 at the Ostrava Open. This was her second straight victory. She started off with a win at the ASB Classic in New Zealand to start the season and was granted a place in the main draw of the Australian Open when others withdrew. She was eliminated in the first round of the Australian Open after coming up against Belinda Bencic. The 29-year-old dropped to world number 120 after the first round exit and left Australia to prepare for her next tournament. This was despite Aussie fiancé Alex Eala making a surge to the quarterfinal. But her decision to focus on her form has paid off, producing her best form since mid-last year. A racket's echo. When Alex Eala stopped the tennis world and Katie Boulter found her way back. The tennis world has always loved its moments of pause, the kind where the crowd holds its breath, rackets hover mid-air, and history quietly clears its throat. These moments don't always belong to champions lifting trophies. Sometimes they belong to a teenager swinging freely, or to a battle-worn professional refusing to dissipate. On a day that felt stitched together by contrast, Alex Eala stunned the sport into attention, while Katie Boulter reminded everyone that comebacks are rarely loud at first. They begin as whispers. The shockwave named Alex Eala. There are players who arrive with marketing campaigns, expectations, and a media spotlight already warmed up for them. Alex Eala is not one of those players. Her rise has been quieter, shaped by discipline, long flights away from home, and the kind of belief that survives without applause. And yet, when her moment arrived, it landed with the force of a thunderclap. Eala's performance, whether measured in a fearless upset, a dazzling rally, or the sheer composure she displayed against experience, felt symbolic. It wasn't just about points won or games held. It was about how she carried herself, unflinching, curious, unapologetically brave. She played as if the court were a place of possibility rather than pressure. For a sport that often searches anxiously for its next big thing, Eala didn't ask for permission. She reminded tennis that talent doesn't need to shout. It simply needs space to swing. What stunned the tennis world wasn't just the result, it was the ease with which she belonged. Her footwork told stories of hours unseen. Her shot selection spoke of a player who thinks 2 balls ahead. And perhaps most strikingly, her calm suggested that she wasn't borrowing confidence from the moment. She had brought her own. In that instant, young players across continents saw something rare. Proof that the gatekeepers of tennis aren't immovable. That the sport still has room for surprise. The weight of expectation and the silence of loss. While Eala's moment felt like an arrival, Katie Boulter's journey had been about endurance. Tennis has a cruel habit of magnifying struggle. A few losses become a torrid run. Confidence erodes publicly. Every missed forehand becomes evidence. For Boulter, That stretch wasn't just about defeats, it was about fighting the creeping doubt that follows them. There's a unique loneliness in professional tennis. No substitutions, no teammates to hide behind. When form slips, it slips in full view. Boulter carried that weight into every match, aware that results shape narratives faster than effort ever could. And yet, something shifted. The quiet art of bouncing back. A comeback in tennis is rarely cinematic. There's no single shot that fixes everything. Instead, it's built from small acts of resistance, choosing patience over panic, trusting patterns again, breathing through the tight moments. Boulter's bounce back didn't arrive as a roar. It arrived as resolve. Her movement looked lighter, her body language steadier. She wasn't chasing perfection. She was chasing clarity. Point by point, she rebuilt herself not as the player she had been, but as the player she still was. What made her resurgence meaningful wasn't dominance. It was honesty. She competed without denial of her recent struggles. She accepted them, then moved through them. In doing so, she offered a masterclass in resilience, the kind that doesn't trend but lasts. 2 stories, 1 court. In many ways, Alex Eala and Katie Boulter occupied opposite ends of the tennis spectrum that day. One represented the thrill of the unknown, the joy of arrival. The other embodied survival, the grit of staying when leaving would be easier. Yet together, they told a fuller story of the sport. Tennis doesn't move in straight lines. It loops, stumbles, surprises. It elevates one player while testing another, often in the same breath. And that's its magic. The game doesn't care about age or narrative. It responds only to courage in the moment. Eala's breakthrough reminded the world that tennis still has room for wonder. Boulter's rebound reminded it that perseverance is just as compelling. Why moments like this matter? In an era obsessed with statistics and rankings, days like these cut through the noise. They remind fans why they fell in love with tennis in the first place, not for inevitability, but for uncertainty, for the chance that anyone, on any given day, can rewrite their story. Alex Eala didn't just win points, she expanded imagination. Katie Boulter didn't just end a bad run, she reclaimed belief. And somewhere between those 2 arcs, the tennis world paused.